Don Lebatard.
I had a dream last night about the show that Stu Gatz was filling in for Joe Buck on his podcast, and Allison called me to tell me what a great job Stu Gatz did. And I realized this is a dream because Allison would never praise Stu Gatz. Stu Gatz would never fill in for Joe Buck's podcast that may or may not even exist.
And if I did, it wouldn't be good.
Factually, a lot of factual errors in your dream.
What a weird dream.
Yeah.
Stu Gatz.
So that's the height of your fantasies, Guillermo?
Well, maybe it was a nightmare. I don't know. It happened when I was asleep.
Thank you, Guillermo.
That's how dreams work.
Yep.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stu Gatz on ESPN Radio.
Stu Gatz is just muttering before the mics come on. Did you guys get the 50 from Dan for killing Layden? Frank, can you call the show so I can apologize to you publicly for thinking you were dead?
Put the 50 down.
I do owe money for that.
Oh, there he is.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Did you think Frank Layden was dead? Look, it was an innocent mistake. I didn't mean to kill Frank Layden. This is going to be a whole scandal. The Lebatard Show kills Frank Layden on ESPN. That's not going to be good for Disney.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. Guest on the Dan Lebatard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Lane Kiffin going to be there in a half hour, 11:30 Eastern. Check out the Cavaliers and the Celtics tonight, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Here's your SportsCenter update. Carson Palmer has decided to retire after 14 seasons. Greg Popovich now has the 5th most coaching wins in NBA history as the Spurs beat the Knicks 100-91. And finally, last week, parts of Canada were colder than it was on Mars. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Did you know that Canada could get colder than Mars? Mike, why did I see fear sweeping across your face last segment when you were looking at Stu Gatz and you were worried about things? Like, I could tell that you were worried. I could read Mike sometimes. I don't know, but I could read Mike sometimes when there was fear on his face. He was looking at you. What was happening there?
Well, you started talking about how Nick Saban should be happier. And I could see Stu Gatz's gears start turning. He was about to drop a bomb on Nick Saban, and he was about to rip him.
Oh, you saw it?
I saw it happening. And as I saw that happening, I got a text from our friend Marty Smith saying, "What's up, boys? I'm watching you in the Bama's Player Lounge with the players."
Of course.
So I was like, oh, no.
Oh,
Stu Gatz is about to destroy Nick Saban.
Well, go ahead. I think we should do it all the more now, not less.
But I texted him. I thought I saved it with Frank Layden.
We had to, in order to protect Stu Gatz, we had to kill Frank Layden. Can someone get Frank on the phone so I could talk to him and publicly apologize?
I think he's still working with the Jazz.
I'm
serious.
I'm not still totally sure I'm wrong about this. I think somewhere in the recesses of my mind, I still have Frank Layden being dead. You're
going to kill him again?
The internet being wrong. I'm just convinced
$100.
I deserve whatever fine it is you're giving today. Go ahead and rip Nick Saban so that they can hear it in the Players Lounge with Marty Smith. Like, just because I know it's a defense of the players, because I had the same reaction when Nick Saban, when I saw on television Nick Saban talking about
right.
We need more rest for the kids between these games. I found myself getting mad.
I can almost hear Marty saying right now, I'm actually not their friend.
Oh, he's embarrassed? He's ashamed of us?
Yeah,
no, I think the kids are going to agree. In fact, I'd like...
the kids will agree. It depends if Nick is lording over there, so like sniffing around. His miserable self is sniffing around, making sure that he doesn't allow any joy.
I'd like to have maybe Marty on to get live reaction to the rant right now because, kids, how about this? This is just for the kids in the lounge with Marty Smith, okay? Nick Saban doesn't care about you, okay? Nick Saban cares about himself. That's who he cares about. Nick Saban, the audacity for this guy to say there isn't enough time in between games. I've never heard Nick Saban talk about it before, and I'm guessing I'll never hear him talk about it again unless his entire team is hurt like it is right now. Here's the thing with Nick Saban, and that's why he needs more time. He needs more time because his entire defense is hurt.
Nick said Saban, it's for the kids, though. He said it's for the kids. They need more time to prepare before games.
And kids, what I'm telling you, it's not for the kids. It's for Nick. Because you kids winning and not getting paid, that benefits Nick Saban and does not benefit you.
Hold on.
But it benefits him in a big way.
If I may, just to allow you to...
done.
No, please. And forgive the interruption.
That's okay.
No, I want you to...
I'm tired of Saban.
I gathered. I just want, Mike, I want you to text Marty Smith right now, if you would. name one of the players in the room with you so that Stugotz can directly address that player when saying, player X, Nick Saban doesn't care about you. And maybe Nick Saban is somewhere around there, maybe he's not, but I want you to address the players in the room individually. And the reason I'm asking Mike for help on this is because I know you can't name a single one of them.
Minkah Fitzpatrick, listen to me, and listen to me loud and clear. Nick Saban doesn't care about you. Nick Saban cares about the business of Nick Saban. He doesn't even care about the University of Alabama. What Nick Saban cares about is the business of Nick Saban. Nick Saban is a year removed from saying only conference champions should be playing in the Final Four. Nick Saban, you got a gift. You were gifted into the Final Four because you're Nick Saban, because you've done so much winning. But here's the deal. Now that you're here, shut up.
Oh, no.
I don't want to hear from you. You have no business. According to you and your rules that you laid down last year, your team has no business being here because not only did you not win the conference, you didn't make the conference championship game, but you got in. And now you get a chance at winning another title. And you're going to sit here and complain? You're going to complain about the length of time in between games? Nick, here's what I want you to do, because you have a powerful voice. If you truly care about the kids, be one of the guys. You have the most powerful voice in all of sports, certainly in college football. Be one of the guys at the forefront for trying to get these kids who you care about, or at least who you claim you care about, try to get them paid. Because we all know the education that the University of Alabama has given them isn't enough.
What?
And they don't care about it.
All right, hold on.
All right, Nick, you care about the kids, get them paid.
Hold on.
That was for you, Jalen Hurts.
Hold on.
And you too, Scarborough. I mean, both Scarborough.
That guy doesn't need your help. That guy can handle matters on his own.
Well, then take care of business already, Bo, because I'm telling you, Nick Saban don't care about you.
Wait a minute. What do you mean take care of business? You want him to harm Nick Saban? Hold on a second. Let's slow this down because we got to rein in the untethered Stugotz.
I want them to
hold on.
okay.
Just please hold on a second.
I don't like the Saban guy.
Do you realize that Saban might be staring at a television
I don't
right now?
care.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to set the picture for the listener who might just be joining us.
All right. Come on the show, Nick. I dare you.
Who's going to have to handle that interview? You're going to. I would.
You will. It's not my strength. This is my strength, though.
I know. All right, now let me slow everything down.
I met the Alabama SID a couple weeks ago in Charlotte saying, please give us another chance.
Well, he has a chance right now. Come on.
I don't want to slow your roll in any way. I simply want to tell the audience, and I will get out of the way again, if you're just joining us, we have access to a player lounge in the Alabama facility where they are watching our show. Marty Smith has told us that because he has betrayed his good, great friend, Nick Saban. And
former
friend. We are ruining this relationship as we speak. Marty didn't give us permission to do any of this. And now, Mike, you've got Stugotz speaking directly, I don't know, to the lounge, the weight room. For all I know, all of Alabama's football team is now gathering, and Nick Saban is behind them. So, again, the floor is yours, Stugotz. You talk to the good kids of Alabama who are suffering this injustice so that Nick Saban could be the highest paid person in the history of bouncing balls. Go ahead.
All right, Calvin Ridley, listen to me and hear me loud and clear. Nick Saban cares about Nick Saban. Nick Saban does not care about Calvin Ridley. All right? I'm sorry. He might give you the appearance that he cares about Calvin Ridley, but Calvin, if he truly cared about you, and if he truly cared about all his players, Nick wouldn't be using the platform to talk about the length of time in between games. If he cared about you, he'd be using the platform to try to get you paid, because Nick Saban has made millions of dollars and has private jets and had his mortgage paid for by the University of Alabama.
That's true, kids.
Because you guys work hard for him.
That's true. That's true. That's true, kids.
Right.
That's
so
true.
Nick
He's got all that money, and they built him a house.
So, Bo Scarborough, this is the job for you. You walk into Nick Saban's office and say, Coach, you care about us? You're making $8 million a year.
That's right.
Peel $2 million back and give it to us.
Break all the rules.
Give it to the kids.
End your career.
Coach, you got a powerful voice.
That's right.
Get up on that championship game platform and talk about how we should be paid.
That's right.
Because we're working our asses off for you. And for the state of Alabama. And for the University of Alabama.
Yes, glory be to God. Glory be to God.
War Eagle.
What?
No!
Oh.
Dan Le Batard.
Man, you have no journalistic responsibility.
Stugotz.
Yep, and I love it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I do want to circle back around to the idea of how hard it is to be a happy coach. heavy is the head, all that stuff. Because Nick Saban seems really joyless. Bill Belichick seems joyless. Popovich seems very opinionated and largely joyless. Does Popovich give off joy to you?
No. Little more like lately, but that's not saying much.
I feel like that's more. I feel like that's just old guy not giving any bleeps anymore. Like maybe. That's totally comfortable. If you take this job, I don't care. I'll get another one, and maybe I won't even do this anymore. Anyone would hire me. So he just gives no bleeps. He can even run loudly against the politics of his owner with no fear of reprisal.
Now it's easy with this team, but I think Steve Kerr's a different dude. Anyways, he looks like he's got a lot of balance.
No, but that's a good point. See. When I thought of joyful coaches with perspective, almost the first place I went was Steve Kerr. Now the winning helps, obviously, but I just feel like he's got perspective about things that he's not going to, you're not going to have a lot. If he's going to have very few confrontations, and if he does, it's because Draymond Green is crazy.
But he's never had anything to be miserable about. He stepped into the greatest team in the history of the NBA, and he played with Michael Jordan.
Agreed. It must be fun. But what I'm saying is Nick Saban has the best team in the history of college sports, and he doesn't seem to be having fun. And Belichick seems to be at the height of the most interesting team in the history of that sport, and he doesn't seem to be having fun. And Popovich has a 700 winning percentage for his career. Wins 7 out of 10 games. Doesn't seem like that's a lot of fun.
Can they be having fun and just not letting us see the fun that they're having?
Well, but this is what I think happens. What I think happens is there's a joyless nature to that work, right? Because you're lording over people, and maybe you care about the relationships and maybe you don't. But all you're doing is trying to extract from employees at every turn more. And there's a lot of pressure around the job, and many guys fear that they're going to lose the job. And Greg Popovich arrives in this place now, where all of these guys should be happier than they've ever been. They've got security, they've got perspective, but the job is such a consumption. You're traveling all over the place, you're working all the time. You've heard the stories of Norv Turner. His wife had to come in and, put the family photos up in the office because he didn't have time to do it because he was watching film all the time. Joe Gibbs tells you that they used to tape record the family conversations and send them to his office so he could be a part of his family. The family conversations at dinner.
Right.
Like, it just seems like such a miserable existence, even if you win.
I'm asking you because you knew him and had and still have a great relationship with him. Bobby Bowden, was he having fun while he was doing it?
Yes, he was. But he had a less lopsided life. He was a football coach, but he was a man of God, and he was really trying to help in communities, and like he was a spiritual soul. And so he realized that he wasn't that important, really. He wasn't filled with ego. And while he was trying to win, he was very comfortable in his place in life.
Right.
I just find it, if Nick Saban...
Spurrier seemed to have some of that.
Yes,
Spurrier,
a little bit. If Nick Saban, though, can someone explain this to me? If Nick Saban's not going to be happy now, or look happy now, when's he going to look happy? Because he's got the entire sport by the...
Yep.
Like, he gets all the best players. No, he's got all the advantages. He's got so many advantages. Listen to how many advantages Nick Saban has. He's got so many advantages that the only way he loses is if he's playing with a high school amateur quarterback and the other team at the last second has Deshaun Watson. That's how Nick Saban loses. And it comes down to the last second because he's always got the better players, and it doesn't even matter who his quarterback is. He's got all the advantages. If you're not going to be happy now, if you're always thinking about the next game, chasing the next thing,
how could it get any
better?
When
the hell are you going to be happy, dude? Hey, he's got just carte blanche.
Same with Belichick.
I just think there's a part of that job that just is corrosive. The power of it, the ego, the money, the fame. You're an important voice. You're a leader. You're a strong man. And those are just superficialities. Are you really trying to connect with the kids? Because I would think there's joy in that. Like, if you're really trying to connect with the kids and you can see every day that you're improving lives and you're working hard to making them not better football players or just better football players, but you really actually care about the kids, I would think that there'd be joy in that.
My guess is that there is joy in that. We just don't, but Dan, that's not the part that we see. I'm guessing that Coach K has had several discussions with a kid about life, about his parents, about stuff that happened in the past that he takes great.
But I don't think of Coach K as a misery. Do you? As a misery? I don't think of I think of Coach K as a guy who comes from the military and has perspective. And look, winning's really important to him, and he's the king of Duke, and he wins a lot. But but I don't think of Coach K as joyless.
And not now, but in the 90s, didn't seem like he was very fun to be around.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, make it any coach. Make it Bob Huggins. He doesn't seem to be having too much fun.
Right.
I'm certain Bob Huggins has had many great experiences where he is taking great enjoyment in just being around, being there for one of his kids. I'm sure he's. But we don't see that.
Right.
Yet.
We don't see that, but I don't feel like we hear it very often either in ways that, like, do you feel like Nick Saban comes out today and is telling you he cares about the kids and you just eviscerated him? You blowtorched him for claiming that he cares about the kids.
Mm-hmm. If I knew more of these stories, if I knew maybe Nick going to help one of the kids' families out, if I knew Nick spending, but I don't know those stories, so it's a bit unfair to Nick Saban and all the coaches out there. I don't know those stories. We never hear about those stories. We don't. Mm-hmm. I mean, you saw how Bob Huggins reacted when one of his kids went down during the NCAA tournament, got down on the ground, was hugging the kid.
Well, see, this is where you are right about this. There is a lot of stuff that we do not see. For example, my guess is that most people who watch South Carolina coach Frank Martin think to themselves, that guy is out of control. He is crazy. He's too emotional. He's too loud, and he is unhappy. But I know Frank a little bit. I know the man that he is, and I know, like, he is a blubbering, emotional mess about his kids. Just a mess. Like, just, you think of him as all this strong stuff, and he is just a teddy bear. Like, just cares about the kids so much. And so, the visual image of Frank Martin may look like someone who's miserable, but I happen to know that that connection is the thing that feeds that dude. But I just don't, how do you measure that? If we ask the audience, does Nick Saban really care about the kids or whomever? Does Bill Belichick care about the men who work for him? Care about them? Like, how do we measure that one? Care about them? Because that you can do with Popovich.
Well,
Popovich, has relationships with those dudes who love him.
So I'm going to ask you again, because you know this man as well as anyone, Stan Van Gundy. He cares about those players.
Yes, he does.
Right?
He cares about them.
And he looks miserable.
Yeah, he is miserable.
But he cares about Andre Drummond.
Yeah. But he is miserable because the job is not to care about them. The job is to win. And you can't win with players like he has. They're not good enough. And then that becomes the responsibility. That becomes the burden. Now you're the president. You're the coach. You've got daily stresses. Why aren't we winning more? We're winning more. We're not winning more because we can't get LeBron. I want to talk about the evolution, Stugotz, of football and basketball, because what I've seen happen here, you saw what happened with Isaiah Thomas last night. The basketball has given so much power to the players to have personality, and the evolution of basketball is now more fun than it's ever been, where the little guys can do things. It's exciting basketball. They're scoring, and you have all the petty personality stuff where Westbrook doesn't like Durant and all the stuff that you have that we love, that sports fans love. Yeah, give me the petty stuff. Basketball is evolving in a way that's a lot more fun and a lot less dangerous than the way football has evolved.
No doubt. I mean, today's NBA is so much fun, man.
It's being rewarded in the ratings too, and it tells you what giving power to the personalities can do for your sport. Like, basketball encourages its guys to be themselves. Joel Embiid, it encourages personality. Football tries to scrub it out. And now look at where football and how it evolves in terms of the players. You don't know many of them, and they get hurt violently. And ratings are slightly down because basketball is not going to catch football anytime soon. But I do think the evolutions are interesting because basketball might be more fun than it's ever been right now.
Well, I think it's the movement. So, I think a lot of people criticize LeBron James. We didn't because he came to our city, but a lot of people did. But it really started something. So now, tonight, you have Kyrie saying, I don't want to play with him anymore. I'm going to go to Boston. And now tonight on ESPN, you have Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. That's fun, man.
And Foxworth pointed out on HQ yesterday that Ty Lue specifically brought Isaiah Thomas back against that backcourt, which is very weak defensively, so that Isaiah Thomas could do something yesterday before he had to go face the game against Kyrie.
Oh, he's sitting tonight, Isaiah.
Like, they did that strategically. That's a bad defensive backcourt. Isaiah, go take a bunch of shots till you feel good. And then get away, and what's happening in basketball is a lot of fun. Also a lot of fun. Lane Kiffin, he's next.
Happy coach.
Is he?
I don't know.
We'll ask him. I'll ask him this question. I'll ask him, are you happy? And our coach is happy.
Don Le Batard.
Stugotz lies so much, and he doesn't take inventory of his lies, that even when he's telling the truth, we don't believe him on anything. What's wrong, Stugotz? What are you objecting to?
I mean, listen. I've done this to myself, so I'm frustrated at myself. I'm not going to lash out elsewhere because I understand why everyone would think that I was the one who did this. But I am sitting here telling you guys that I did not Do it.
Stugats.
You absolutely took a bite out of a piece of pizza and put it back with the rest of the pizza.
It was me.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Whenever you hear that song, that means Lane Kiffin is going to join us in just a minute.
Hold on, turn it up.
Yeah.
Turn it up. Foul Al on the prowl.
He'll join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Check out the Cavs versus the Celtics tonight, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Here's your SportsCenter update. Carson Palmer has decided to retire after 14 seasons. Greg Popovich now has the 5th most coaching wins in NBA history as the Spurs beat the Knicks 100-91. And finally, an Ohio man named Bruce Wayne has eaten Chipotle for 428 consecutive days. Chipotle.
That's all right.
It's a tough one for me.
Shake it off.
Chipotle.
Mm-hmm.
The 4-for-4 deal at Wendy's gives you a sandwich plus 4 nuggets, a small fry, and drink for just $4. And now the 4-for-4 has more variety than ever with 8 sandwich choices. So try them all and pick your favorite at participating locations for a limited time. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Lane Kiffin has been our college football correspondent. We like him. He tells the truth even when he's lying. Lane Kiffin with us now on
Is that possible?
ESPN Radio. He tells the truth, man, and I like him.
Like Tony Montana?
Yeah, yes. And so I want to ask him first question. Thank you for joining us, Lane. But how soon in that game, Clemson, Alabama, did you realize, oh, wait, Dabo's got nothing. He's got nothing in this game for what Nick Saban's bringing. They've got no chance moving the ball offensively. How soon did you realize that?
Well, actually, in warm-ups, I thought you could tell. I talked about yesterday, being down there with the players and coaches. Coach Saban has never, talking to coaches for years and years and being there, he uses the same schedule no matter what's happening for, so he'll tell you, 30 years or whatever it's been. And, he had thought about it this offseason because people had kept bringing it up, that at the end of the season, the players just don't have any legs left, especially on defense. And if you look at the last 4 seasons before this, the 2 Clemson games, the Ohio State game, and the Oklahoma game, the last 4 games in a row, over 35 points in every single game given up and almost 600 yards. And that's with the best defensive players in the world. So you got to give him credit that he finally said, okay, I'm changing it. And they took out a bunch of the one-on-ones versus in practice and limited the reps throughout the week, late in the week, and you could see it. It was a completely different team than you usually see.
At what point did you start feeling? At what point did you start feeling badly for Dabo because he had nothing? There was nothing that he was going to be able to do. There was no coaching gimmick that was going to get him anything.
I didn't feel bad for him at all. After they won it the year before, and then the year before we beat them. I didn't feel bad for him. I was happy for those Alabama players because really, they finally got to play with some legs. And so, Alabama has the best players every single week. It's not even close. And that's a credit to Coach Saban's recruiting. He out-recruits everybody. They got more NFL picks and a better roster than everybody. So it was good to see those players play like that.
I'm curious, though, when you're watching all of the things that are happening there, is Lane Kiffin, and this is a difficult question to ask because I know you have a great deal of confidence, and I know Nick Saban is more accomplished than you are. Is Nick Saban a better coach than you? Yes or no?
Definitely. He's definitely a better coach. I mean, the record and the championships, all that. Spending 3 years with him, has that got me to catch up? Is that how we were, able to go from, 3 wins in 3 years to 11 wins? Sure. But, no, I got a long ways to go to catch him.
Is Dabo?
Yeah, one national championship.
No, not accomplished. Not accomplished. Lane, hold on a second, Lane. Don't do that. If you had Alabama or if you had the Clemson players, I know they're more accomplished than you are because they've won college championships. That's not what we're asking you. I'm asking you if you look at anybody and say that dude is just better at this than I am.
Yeah, I would say when you put it that way, I mean, I think you guys know my confidence. I would feel like if we had the exact same team, I would feel like I would beat them. But that's, that's how I think. So I'm sure.
But Lane, that's you thinking you are better. That's you.
And that's okay, by the way.
That is okay. But that is you thinking that if I had their players, I would beat them. I can do that. I can do it just as well as
But
they
I think
can.
what Lane is saying is getting the players is part of the job.
It is part of the job. But, I mean, it's harder to get them at FAU than it is at Alabama at this point. Anyway, we were talking before you came on here about whether coaching can be happy because Nick seems really joyless. Belichick seems joyless. What is it about the job that makes you guys often so miserable?
Well, I think it's how you approach it. It doesn't have to be miserable. I learned first, from Pete Carroll, spent 6 years with him, and he created an atmosphere, of want to versus have to, where the players and coaches want to come to work. They want to come to the weight room because, people are excited, people have energy, you got music playing, people are happy to be there. You're not just coming in and get your ass ripped every day. And then other people go the other way. They create the atmosphere where everybody's miserable coming into work. I used to laugh. You walk down the Alabama hallway, and the national championship pictures are there. Where it shows the team picture and the coaches. And you're in the stadium. All lined up. And you're in their jerseys and in your coaching gear. Look at the faces on the coaches. It looks like they're at a funeral. They look miserable.
How long were you miserable there? Like how many days of all the time you were in Alabama, how many days did you go to work miserable because that's the environment that you were working in? I'm not talking about Alabama, the environment that Saban created. What percentage of the days did you go in miserable?
Well, if there's 365 and you play, 14, so whatever, that's 351 days. Yeah, I like game day. That's fun because
so that was it. So about 12 days a year you were happy driving into work.
So basically it's not even all of game day. It's just the 3 hours maybe, as long as Saban's not yelling at you during those two because you're putting up 50 instead of 60.
Yeah, it's about, that's not 3.5 hours, it's 3 hours and 15 minutes. You're happy, which is, because you have the best players, so you're going to win, and you're out there and you're scoring 1 million points and 1 million yards. And it's the last 15 minutes of the game when you're up by 30, but, you hand the ball off left instead of right, and so you get your ass ripped.
Wait a second. So, Lane, put me in your head that you saw Nick rip Brian Dable, right? Like, you saw him rip him on the sidelines during the semifinal game?
Dabo. No? Or
yeah.
Right, the offensive coordinator.
I retweeted that, yes.
Yeah, you did. Like, put us there. Like, what is Brian thinking? What is Nick saying? Like, can you put us in that moment?
He's just mad just to get mad because, he's feeling like, okay, people are getting comfortable. We're ahead, so it's just that I don't know where he gets it from. It's that, I need to rip somebody. I never understood it. I don't do that. Somebody used to joke. They say that, he'd get a memo, in the fourth quarter that, the TV cameras showed me more than him. So he's going to make sure that he ripped me to, humble me. So I don't really know why he does it.
Wait a minute. What? What? No, that's not true. What? Say that again. He's giggling. Yes.
Laugh.
No, yeah, but explain that again. What happened?
They used to joke and say, what was the point of him ripping? I don't know. And they'd say, oh, well, he must have got a memo, from the sides that they showed you more than him, something like that, or they showed you guys. They showed you guys together. They showed you guys together, and it made him look too short.
Lane, all right, hold on a second. A couple of questions before we let you go. One, we're having a party for the bogus national championship that is Monday, and because UCF just won the championship, declared by us. But we're having one, and it's going to be a mega cast, and ESPN is going to broadcast it. Do you want to sit here and watch the game with us? What are you doing Monday?
I don't know what I'm doing Monday. I may be in Atlanta. Okay. I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow.
All right, we'll check in with you. All right,
Monday.
We'll check in with you.
Seems like a no there.
Yeah, that seems like a no, a polite no. That does seem like that.
That's a politically correct no.
Okay, so that is no. All right, thanks to guys for reading through the live.
I'm going to spend 4 hours bashing Saban. I mean, if you want to join us, that may
be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
We'd love. I mean, is there anything we can do to entice you to come to this? Like, can we give you anything? Like, how about some recruits? How about a quarterback? Can we buy you a South Florida quarterback that would make you sit with us?
That would be a viation. So
we don't have to tell anybody.
We're just on national air. That's all.
What did you make of UCF? I think they're as good as anybody in the country, except maybe Alabama. What did you make of UCF?
I thought they played great. And that was amidst distractions with Scott taking the other job and having to recruit for the other job and still coaching the game. And so that really shows what a great job he did, what a great job the players did. Amidst all the distraction, heavy underdog in the game. To be able to perform like that, against an extremely talented Auburn team. That team, is as talented as anybody. And you saw that, in their Alabama game.
For those of you who don't know, Lane is the former coach of the Oakland Raiders. What do you make of this news with John Gruden and not only coming back to coach, but getting a percentage ownership of the team? Possibly.
Well, I thought I heard that wasn't happening, the ownership, but that is strange. Obviously, if that is happening, I was on with Stephen A. yesterday, and right before I went on, that was the subject. He was on, and he kind of went off on it. That I don't know. I guess Gruden's 2 games over 500 in his career. And to get a stake of ownership is crazy. But I think it's a great hire. Obviously, with his background with the Raiders and how well he does with quarterbacks, and Carr being so talented, Amari Cooper being there. They got some great young players on that team. So I think that's a great fit for them.
Is there a name that Lane Kiffin could possibly give us before we let you go, where you were coaching on the sideline and you said to yourself, I own this guy? This coach on the other sideline, I own him. He ain't beating me. There's not, like, you may think that all the time, but specifically one name you would give us where I got this guy. This guy doesn't know what's coming next.
I think that all the time.
Okay, but you don't have one guy that you're thinking.
I did. Since you are in South Florida, I did tell our players, and I was much younger, so I probably shouldn't have said it, but I did tell our players, when we were at Tennessee, Georgia was a big rivalry, and Georgia had really beat Tennessee a lot when we'd come in there and Mark Richt was there. And I told our players, I said, we'll never lose to Georgia ever. And Mark Richt, the games aren't going to be close. And so we played him the 1 year there and beat him, I don't know, by 20 points or I don't know what it was, blew him out. So, but then I left to make sure that it was true. We did never lose to them. We want to know.
Lane, good talking to you. We'll see you Monday.
All right, guys. See you.
All right, see you.
Dan Le Batard
Is saving the best.
Yes, maybe no.
Stugats
Is saving the best. Yes, maybe no.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
I don't know a lot of coaches who do what Lane Kiffin just did there.
It's pretty amazing.
I just wish sports were more like that in general. We got some great sounds to play for you. I just think sports would be so much fun if the coaches were that kind of honest instead of always disguising. If you ask them, hey, who's a coach you owned? Who the hell says what he just said, where he gives you the name and you don't have to press very much? He says Mark Richt.
Right.
Who does that?
Mm-hmm. It's unique. I don't think we're going to see a day where everyone's acting like Lane ever.
But wouldn't it be more fun?
Oh, so
wouldn't
much
it be more fun?
Yeah. I mean, Rex Ryan tried some of that with Belichick. He did.
Mm-hmm.
Make it like wrestling. Yeah, it'd be a lot more fun. Certainly.
Let's play some of these sounds here. We've got some good sound for you. Patrick Ewing is now the coach at Georgetown, and this is courtesy of FS1. We've got 3 great sounds. Let's see if we can get to all of them here. Here's Patrick Ewing. His center, I think it was his center, took just a bad shot selection, one-footed fadeaway, and here's what Ewing lit him up with in the huddle.
Step back, one-legged. What kind of shot is that? Have you ever shot that shot? Do you work on that shot? When?
Did he say when?
When? I've never seen you. I watch you all the time. I've never seen you work on that shot.
But does that mean the kid responded yes?
In private. Do you work on that shot? Yes, at home. Now did you see the Celtics game the other day against the Rockets?
I did not, no.
Okay, at the end of the game, it was very exciting. And we're going out here to the Celtics radio broadcast. Now who are these guys? Because the Celtics guys can be real gigantic homers. Is Cedric Maxwell involved here?
This is a cornbread Maxwell joint.
He's crazy.
Oh, really?
This was a game that James Harden totally melted down at the end of the game.
Okay.
Marcus Smart got under his skin.
He's the best. Didn't you want to do something with Cedric Maxwell? Didn't you want to do something there?
Cornbread?
There you go.
So now, no timeouts. Celtics down 1. They have never led. Rozier on the inbound. Bounce pass. Horford catches. 5 seconds to go. Horford bulls his way in. Forces it up and in. The Celtics have the lead. No timeouts for Houston. 3.7 to go.
Man, give me some Cheetos, somebody. I need something to eat.
This place will go berserk. Harden knocks down Smart again and turns the ball over. James Harden implodes in front of a national television audience.
That beard.
Wait a minute. That is great. Wait a minute. I need to hear that again.
That's right up there with the Miracle on Ice and Al Michaels.
That is better. It is better. Al Michaels, you must now take second place. Do you believe in miracles? United our country against the Cold War. But it was a lesser broadcast experience than this one.
Horford catches, 5 seconds to go. Horford bulls his way in, forces it up and in. The Celtics have the lead. No timeouts for Houston. 3.7 to go.
Man, give me some Cheetos, somebody. I need something to eat.
This place will go berserk. Harden knocks down Smart again and turns the ball over. James Harden implodes in front of a national television audience.
Take that with your beard.
Take that with your beard. All right, hold on. I want to put some sounds side by side here. I want to compare Cedric Maxwell, Cornbread's orgasmic response to triumph against Terrence Newman's roller coaster riding. Terrence Newman, is he still in the league with the Vikings? He's the oldest player in the league?
I'll check it right now.
Except for Adam Vinatieri and Tom Brady. All right, that's Terrence Newman. He's a cornerback for the Vikings, and he's very scared of roller coasters. Now let's go to Cedric Maxwell, orgasmic triumph. What's the better sound? Guillermo, put it on the poll. What's the better sound? What do you got?
It's got to be Cornbread, man.
You sure?
Yes.
That's horror.
I know, but that's the sound that you would normally, I feel like you would kind of hear on a roller coaster. You would never hear this sound calling a basketball game.
It's the ball over.
That's true. That's a good point by Stugat. Cornbread Maxwell needs to be in the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster just because he's changed the game so much doing it this way. I mean, he speaks for the fan base on that. Right?
Take that with your beard.
And then Cheetos. Was that a marijuana joke? Get me some Cheetos. I'm feeling high. I don't even understand what that was.